Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mayor's Press Conference that we have each Wednesday after the City Council meeting in Columbus. Welcome to all who are here, and I'm going to make a few comments about last night's meeting and then take any questions the media might have, and then also anybody that's watching online can send in a question and we'll try to answer it. Last night was a very special council meeting because we had the opportunity to recognize Miss Rosie Lee Harris, who turned 100 this month. She was obviously born in 1923. And as I was reflecting on that last night and the fact that this is Black History Month, I was just thinking about everything that she has seen in her life and all the experiences that she must have had, and what a wonderful life she has led and continues to live. It should be inspiring to all. It was a true honor to have her here and to name yesterday as Miss Rosie Lee Harris Day for all her professional and volunteer accomplishments. It was just amazing, and it made me feel like that I needed to say something again about the importance that I believe that Black History Month is to our town, our state, our country. I don't think a lot of people realize that the celebration actually began during the Jim Crow era, but was not officially recognized in America until 1976 as part of the nation's bicentennial celebration. And it aims to honor the contributions that African Americans have made and to recognize their sacrifices. I've learned just recently in doing a little studying that the month of February, I didn't know this, was chosen by leaders in the Black community because February is the birthday of Abraham Lincoln, who was born on February the 12th, and then Frederick Douglass, who was born enslaved and didn't really ever know his actual birth date, but he chose to celebrate it on February the 14th. And the leaders who selected this month, I think, felt like that these were two people who were central in helping to afford Black people the experience of freedom that they know today. I was looking at the proclamation that was delivered from the White House on Black History Month, and I hope you'll let me read just a little bit of it because I think it's important. Unfortunately, in today's society, in many of the politics that we deal with and just, I think, misunderstandings that people have nationwide, worldwide, that we maybe don't stop and think about the importance of this and what it means to all of us, and not just for Black Americans. But the proclamation reads, "During National Black History Month, we celebrate the legacy of Black Americans whose power to lead, to overcome, and to expand the meaning and practice of American democracy has helped our nation become a more fair and just society. This country was established upon the profound but simple idea that all people are created equal and should be treated equally throughout their lives. It is an idea America has not fully lived up to, but it is an idea we have never fully walked away from either. The struggles and challenges of the Black American story to make a way out of no way have been crucible where our resolve to fulfill this vision has most often been tested. Black Americans' struggles for freedom, equal treatment, and the right to vote, for equal opportunities in education, housing, and the workplace, for economic opportunity, equal justice, and political representation, and so much more, have reformed our democracy far beyond its founding. Black Americans have made a way not only for themselves, but also have helped build a highway for millions of women, immigrants, and other historically marginalized communities, and all Americans to more fully experience the benefits of our society." It goes on from there, but I think that those two paragraphs sum up how a lot of people feel about the importance of celebrating this month, and it's something that I think we should embrace in our schools, in our churches, in our homes, and I encourage everyone to look for the many opportunities around the city and the state to attend events on Black History Month, especially those who maybe feel that it's not necessary to have a month to celebrate Black history. I would very much encourage those who feel that way to open their minds and hearts and actually attend, and maybe even pick up a book and read about the great history that's out there and how it's made our country better and stronger. And I would pray that we all continue to try to work together for a more just society for everyone. And having Miss Harris there last night, and I kept looking at her, just brought that home to me over and over again, and her pleasant, sweet smile, and obviously a heart full of love. And she has lived through everything that almost mentioned in the Declaration from her time in 1923, all the things she must have seen and experienced, and is still going strong at 100. It was just a true blessing to have her at the council meeting. I know the Board of Supervisors recognized her as well, and she's had other celebrations in our city. But what a gem and a true example of the type of wonderful citizens that we have in the Friendly City. Also last night, the Reverend Sandra DePriest from the Golden Triangle Homeless Coalition made a presentation to the City Council about the Tiny Homes Village that they have been for many years trying to establish here in Columbus. I think they have found a very good site within the city. The council did table it last night. They asked to maybe see some examples of other tiny house villages like this in other areas. Reverend DePriest did reach out to us this morning with a website to go to, and I encourage everybody that's listening to go and look at it as well. It's the village at Glencliff in Nashville, Tennessee. There's also some stories on the web about the benefits of that wonderful village that they've established there. I just want to take this time to say a very special thank you to Reverend DePriest and all the many volunteers who have worked tirelessly with the Golden Triangle Homeless Coalition for all these years, and for their persistence in trying to bring something to our community that is much needed. This is something that will not cost the city anything. It is something that we all know that is much needed, not only in this area, but around the state and the country. And I'm just very pleased that we have citizens in our community who are willing to do this work for free and to bring their resources and talents so that we can help those who are a little less fortunate. As we've discussed in our town hall meetings, anyone can fall on hard times and end up homeless. But this type of program with the tiny villages goes a little further. We've also talked often about when people have made mistakes and they've been incarcerated and they served their time and they're trying to get back out on their feet again, and it's very difficult sometimes. And places like this can be a life-saving place for individuals like that. It can help them get back on their feet and be productive members of society. I think by having this opportunity in Columbus, it will show us as a leader in the Golden Triangle area on the fact that we are a caring community who really appreciates every life and wants to try to do everything we can to help folks succeed. And it will not only benefit them individually, but it will benefit our community as a whole. And glory be to God that we have people in our community who feel so strongly about this. So I'm encouraging the council to stay on this and look at this very closely. And if they need to go and visit this village, then do so in Nashville or look at it online. Reverend DePriest and the members of the coalition are eager to help them get all the information that they have so that we can make a good decision on this in the very near future. And I want to thank them again for all their hard work on this and then coming before the council. We also had a citizen, Joe Murphy, who came before the council about a product called Zaza that I think many people are aware of, that is being sold locally here and throughout the country. Our state legislators are looking at banning the substance because of its dangers for addiction. And the council voted last night to pass a resolution encouraging the governor and the legislators to pass this and not wait until July to make it effective, but make it effective immediately. They also voted to look at having sessions in the city where we can look at the possibility of us banning it even before the legislature acts. So there'll be more information coming about that in the near future. I want to thank Mr. Murphy for coming forward. I have had many citizens reach out to me about this product as well with a lot of concerns. I have been steadily passing that information on to our local legislators and asking them to, consider doing something from a state level. But if we also had the sheriff and the police chief speak on it last night at the council meeting. If you're not familiar with this product and the dangers of it, I encourage you to go back and watch our meeting last night. It's on Facebook. But I was pleased that the council took the request very seriously and are making steps to try to help citizens who are have an addiction to this, and hopefully will save lives. Both of those topics last night, from the Homeless Coalition to this, are opportunities where we really can help save lives in the community, and we must take these topics very seriously. At this point, I'm going to ask Jeff Turnage, our city attorney, to come up. We did go into executive session and take up a few matters, and I'm going to let him report on that, and then I'll come back and you can ask both of us questions about that.
Can I move these?
Yes.
I don't want to damage them in any way. Thank you, Mayor. Before, if I may address the Zaza.
Yes.
Councilman Green started to make a motion to make a ban effective immediately last night, and then he rescinded that, but asked that the council be prepared to take it up at the next regular council meeting, but that at our next work session that we have some sort of a public hearing. And since we're on Facebook now, I just wanted to make sure that that's our first effort to let anybody with a vested interest in selling this stuff to know that they can be heard if they have anything positive to say about the drug other than it makes them some money. As for the executive session, they took up a number of matters. So they were all personnel matters related to job performance. In the first personnel matter, it was actually two issues. They promoted a lady from being a site supervisor at Sandfield to administrative assistant to the Park and Rec director. And then they rehired a lady that used to work for us. Simscott, thank you, sir. That's right, Simscott Community Center. And they rehired a lady that used to work for us to be the site supervisor at Simscott. Then the next matter they took up was the rehiring of a part-time police officer to a full-time, and a rehiring a former police officer as a full-time police officer, and the council voted unanimously to approve that and the other Park and Rec issues. And then they set the salary for, we're going to have now 2 assistant chiefs, assistant chief 1 and 2. Our civil service rules allow for that when we have a new incoming chief in the police department to pick an additional police chief. So they approved the salary of the assistant chief number 1 at $75,000 and the assistant chief number 2 at $72,000 on a 5-1 vote, with Councilman Beard voting no. And then they took up 2 matters of personnel related to job performance in the garage, and the request was to increase the salary of 2 employees and redraw the job description of one of them to reflect the additional duties that this employee had taken on without being paid for the additional duties. And they split 3-3 on making the pay increase, and the mayor broke the tie voting no. And that was it.
Go ahead, you go first.
You said that they voted to hire 2 police chiefs? So
No.
what would that, so,
No, they
I mean
had-
assistant chiefs, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they had 1 assistant chief already. Doran Johnson.
What would they duties be? Did it say or?
Doran Johnson's will be administrative and over animal control, I believe. And I forget what else, but there's a handful of things. We really didn't get into that last night, but the chief has the job descriptions.
Yeah, those were the positions that the council had voted to approve earlier. It was going back to assess the salaries.
Can we ask about the bridge?
Well, there's nothing much to tell. We have a settlement agreement in process.
The only question was sent in was, do you have any estimate now in terms of how long it would be before they would start the work and things like that?
No, the mayor, of course, signed the contract with Maloof Construction the day that the council voted to approve that. That contract has been returned to Maloof, who had not yet secured the bonds and the insurance, which he wouldn't do till we had a contract in place. I got a text while the mayor was talking a second ago that he has now gotten those bonds and that they will be, I think, mailed, one set to me and one set to Randy Boudreau with Neil Schaefer. And I would expect them to start within a month or two, but I don't know that. We don't have the settlement funds in hand, so I'm not pushing them to get started because I don't want them to make a pay request that we can't pay. The insurance carrier for Cooper Marine and Timberland there are 4 different insurance companies that they had to get the settlement funds from, and one is in England, and they say it may take a few weeks. So,
But didn't they say, when we had discussions with them in the past, once they get started, you're looking at, if good weather and stuff, at least 6 months
240 days
Oh,
is the estimate.
okay, long
to
time.
be able to finish the bridge, yeah, so it will be,
They're going to completely remove that damaged pier, build a support structure to hold it up, put a new pier in to looks just like the one they have,
Wow.
and then remove the support structure.
and then there'll be a portion of the Riverwalk in that area that will be closed off during that time too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
So has the second assistant police chief been named?
Yes, he's been here, and he's from New Orleans.
I forget his name.
Jim, do you remember his name? I'm sorry, he's probably watching and feels terrible that we can't think of his name, but he has been here and has been very active in the city now for a couple of weeks. And he's from New Orleans. We can get you his name, though. Yes, he's in place.
And you said that they can have 2 assistant police chiefs?
It's spelled out in the civil service rules.
Yeah, it's spelled out in the civil service rules that we can, yeah.
And which one is it, which rate of pay?
The new one is 75, and the original Johnson's is in 72.
Is it Garland Ward?
Garland Ward, yeah.
Man, let's talk about the numbers at the police department. How the numbers looking? Are we getting to where we need? I know we're not where we need to be, but are the numbers improving any?
Well, the numbers are improving. We're budgeted for 55 full-time officers. Is that correct? Uniformed officers. And I would say we're in the 40s now, maybe?
Pretty close to 50, I think.
Pretty close to 50. So that would be a better question for the chief. But yes, I know that he has been actively recruiting, and that we have had quite a few applicants in, and a few I guess, I don't know how many in the last couple of meetings that we voted to hire, but there's been, we can get that number for you though. HR can help with that.
6 that he has requested to hire.
6 so far? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jim. Any other questions?
You don't have any other questions?
Trying to think. I did have one that slipped my memory. Oh, yeah. About the Freedom Act thing that we filed. What is the latest on that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
About the Freedom Act thing that we filed.
Oh.
What is the latest on that with the police officer that was involved in that?
Yes, CBI has, your station has filed a complaint against the city for a delay in response to a body cam review and report on an incident where a citizen was shot in early January. And the police chief has said that it's an ongoing investigation. And so that is why he has declined to release that information at this time. I believe there was a discrepancy on the time frame of when, what we're trying to do, guys, is, you know, and I feel like, obviously I've said this over and over and over, the city and all of our departments should be transparent. And we should always err on helping the media get the information that they need to report to the citizens as promptly and as easily as possible. But we do have, sometimes the requests are complicated and takes a lot of work to get them done. So we have asked, and our policy is that all requests go through Mr. Brigham as the secretary for the city, and then he dispenses the information out to the departments to get that information to us. So this is a second one that we've had recently. The newspaper also filed one. And we are trying to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and doing everything correctly. Jim or Jeff, do y'all want to respond to that any further? Okay.
And without in any way trying to disagree with anything the mayor just said, I think we should be transparent, but I have been kind of an advocate for, if you make a public record request, you have to do it right. Yes. And the reason that I say that is because if it's sent to the police chief or the fire chief or some other employee who may not be quite familiar with the Public Records Act, then they may not understand the deadlines that are required and what happens if you don't answer timely. So I've been an advocate for making sure that you fill out our form that is in our policy and then deliver it properly to the CFO signed, agreeing to pay whatever costs are incurred because of the effort that sometimes goes into responding. As for the complaint about the investigative report, we've oftentimes not concerned ourselves with the exemption in the Public Record Act and have given the media things that are technically not, they're exempt, but we give it to them anyway. And I think the one with the dispatch we had recently and regarding the request for Yobar incidents is a good example of that. We produced a big bunch of information beyond the scope of an incident report, which is what a public record is not exempt. But investigative materials in the possession of a law enforcement agency are exempt. That doesn't mean you can't produce it, but if the chief decides that it would hurt an investigation or that it would reveal the identity of an informant or a witness or would prematurely release information that would impair the public body's enforcement or investigative tactics, then they're going to err on the side of exempting it and not producing it. And I think that's what the chief's position is based on conversations I've had with him. So I think his answer is, even though it may not be timely, is going to be, no thanks, we're not going to provide it.
When an investigation is complete, what's been our policy in the past? Have we released it, or does it all depends on?
Yeah, I mean, they're all fact-based cases, but typically, if an investigation is complete, you may still not produce it if there's somebody that's pending a trial, because then you have the issue of whether disclosure would deprive somebody of the right to a fair trial. But we've very frequently produced what we had, and sometimes there's the counter side to the argument of not producing anything is if you're trying to get to the bottom of a story, you put the information out, there may be a witness who says, oh, I know who that is. And this is the guy you need to go get, and here's where he lives. If we don't put anything out, you may not be able to obtain that information. So I get both sides of the issue.
That answer? Okay.
I have another question about Garland Ward. You said Norm Johnson was going to be the administrative assistant chief. Can you talk about what Ward's responsibilities are going to be?
What I would rather do is produce the job description for y'all to because I don't remember all the details. I guess it was 2 council meetings ago when the chief came back with, it was kind of a restructuring of the department, and where he gave all that information. But there are clear distinctions in what the 2 assistant chiefs would do, and one is called, it's not called assistant, is it,
He was gonna call it a deputy chief.
Deputy chief?
I think he's going with assistant chief 1 and 2 because of the civil service rules.
Okay. So I would refer you to the chief to answer those, because I think it would be more accurate to the responsibilities. But they are distinct, and he's laid those out clearly to the mayor and council.
Anything else?
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you.